First of all, I just want to start off my videos by saying thank you, God. This is my second try in making this video because I think the emotion got the best out of me. But I gotta be thankful and also ask God to give me strength because I'm provoking this perps who are some low life, the government contract. It is impossible at this point to cover up the reality of what's happening here. And with time, it's just not making they're not making it easy for them. It's not easier for them. It's, if anything, the validation just intensify, and then they have to adapt to how obvious things are getting. And the way they think they can adapt to that is really just trying to intensify the gaslighting, thinking that it's gonna counter or negate the clear validation, as the goal was to try to make me internalize this foulness that they forced the target individual to do. But so much goes against them, from how harmful they can be to the most vulnerable, to how manipulative that they are to the mind, and how they can torture people to the point of rage that consists of mass shootings. Now every time I listen to a mass shooter, I'm like, oh, is this a target individual or not? So, for example, not too long ago, this one from Idaho, most likely not a target visual, but I'm just saying the fact that there's a chance that it could be a target visual is already like a sign of what this program does. And why would be the chance there? Because there's plenty of target visual who've done that, and some of them have been very, very vocal on why they did that, why they ended up killing next door neighbors. What caused them to do that? And it's happening over and over and over. It's beyond a trend. You don't need to be an analyst, a genius, to see that there is a torment in this program. When people call themselves target individual, they claim that they are being manipulated psychologically, tortured psychologically and physically, and choose to use violence in some cases to end their torment. It is beyond obvious. It is beyond obvious, and it is disgusting. As I'm saying that, to disorient me, some perp via Vito say they are child porn, which actually validates what I'm gonna make here as a video. This disgusting trash have been so unveiled for the disgusting low life that they are, that the level of harm that's done to children, it is surreal. But then to try to paint yourself as protector of children is the disgustingness of it all. Now, these perps obviously are the bottom feeder. What you're seeing here is what people believe is the hierarchy. At the top of this is like CIA entities and whatnot. At the bottom, you see some citizen corporal and police, and that's for me, the interaction has been people at the lowest level. I said once lower class, and they were trying to talk about finance, but I'm talking about lower class as in this whole thing. If they are not the upper class of this program, they are the nothings. And I can tell they're really the bottom feeders, because you can figure how bottom feeders they are, but how much they love this, or how they feel strong about it. Meaning strong in the sense that I can tell that some perps find strength in their life, or find themselves strong when they get involved in that, because the target individual is defenseless. And for me, they don't care if implanting child porn is what makes them strong. They don't care if forcing target individual to have these thoughts and this. It just is a drug to them that they enjoy. And you can tell, especially the lowest level of them. There is nothing too low, inclusive of what you're going to hear, which consists of harming children. But it makes sense. Listen, for me, the disgusting manipulation they force me to have are so disgusting. But you gotta, there's no, the thing is, like, they were trying to scare me. That, oh, they'll know it's your thoughts and this and that. They thought that it was gonna be. Now, at this point, who do you think can even have doubts about what's happening here? Listen, I don't endorse mass shootings, but some of these shootings are giving a clear idea of what is happening here. As a target individual, thought manipulations are constant, degrading, and tormenting. With me, they force me to get discussing manipulation. Some in the most vulnerable state. For example, I've made a few videos that because they do this discussing sexual manipulations, which they love to do for target individual. Listen, as one thing, one of the trend here is they force people to get sexual arousal, sexual stimulation. They love to do that in a degrading way. They love to do that to degrade the target individual, but a lot of that sometimes is just pedophilia centric. So they make you have sexual arousals. For example, when the child passed by, and then you hear the noise that I don't know if you can hear this noise. Some right now there's honking all around me, and this is like the noise campaign that is supposed, and it's constant. Like I don't know if you can hear that. And actually it makes it more obvious because they do this noise campaign to basically try to create a signal that they saw this, and it's not them manipulating you. It's basically a tactic to make you internalize the disgusting manipulation, and they're so obvious. Like it doesn't take a genius, and you should hear this perps try to be condescending. It's like, "Oh, you're so smart," and they say she's so smart to call me she. Like I don't care if you make me a woman or not. A she, a he. Thank God I'm not a low life like this low life. And it doesn't take a lot of geniusness. I thank them for making me feel so genius, like because they're perps that are contracted by this governmental entity to be retarded. But not only retarded, but retarded to the point of even try to cover up the tortures they do to children. But before I get to the torture of children, this is the nasty things they do. I've made a lot of videos where they tell where they've done these disgusting things. They do this nasty manipulation, what you're gonna hear, where some of the disturbing manipulation consists of disgusting sexual stimulation, like to the point of sexual pain. Like they give me like testicle pain. Like my testicle can be so sore because they force you to get sexual arousals. So disgusting. And the sexual arousals I usually apply when I see a child. And then they act like they're protecting kids. That's when the honking happens. Like this, like intensely. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I don't see the psychological game of what they're doing. Then they use these clowns like, yeah, you're so known. They so know what you are. And it's theatric retardation. Now, it's been a while I haven't left my apartment. So I realized that these people think that it's actually being internalized. But the truth is, I love to go out because I love to confront these perps. I was about to curse. Because when you hear who is trying to get you to believe that, you're so known, and first of all, you look at what they look like. Extreme unimpressiveness. You know that life is fucked up. Excuse my language. You know that life is not the best. You know that what this program gives them is an escapism from the life they live. Target individual with defenses. 2, you see the level of an ecosystem try to gaslight you, and you like feel so strong to understand like that is so beyond obvious. It is so beyond obvious what this is about. It's scary how easy you become. It's just I'm so thankful to God. I know that I'm gonna go through a horror because I'm somebody who put that in their face for years now, and it's getting more obvious and more obvious that that's what they're doing. They're getting more and more discredited. You see the face of these losers covering up what's happening here. You see how clown-like they look like, and you see the validation that this program is so torturous of children that you're going to hear a child scream in agony that you can't even believe that it's real. Now, because I listen to that so much, they're like, I was so bored. Like, get bored to that. Because you're going to listen to that all the time. And the reason why I listen to that is because the second I see them, how known they are for being torturous, It's amazing that they're so evil to children that children can scream like that. And these losers at the gas lobby, it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder things have been working out that way. It's almost a divine situation where reality is just like, you will not leave your fantasy, you will not leave, you will have to be accountable for what you're part of, which means the torture of a lot of children. And I say divine, they try to bring up the story where they act like they're doing it for a girl called Divine that I was with in college, that they try to flip the stories like that. But I'm not even going to venture and bring up the atrociousness of what they do to women. That is another level of evilness that is just on its own divine, meaning that it's just horrible. Sexual harm is such a utilized tool. It's scary, but it makes sense if you look at it in a cynical way. The truth is, they are psychologically breaking you, and sexual torture can break you physically and psychologically. So you can only imagine how often they do that to not only men but a lot of women. And who gaslight and participate in that target video? This is a governmental program. They are normalizing. That's why you see people of all walks of life even participate in the sufferings of children. With me, they even try to sound eerie. It's like, yeah, what's up? And, and you see a little loser in a hoodie. I'm like, gosh, that's how facilitated it is. Whatever atrociousness I'm going through, it's not because some losers of that level, of that is doing that to me. It's because I was put in a program where they're normalizing the most evil, that even children being tortured is normalized. So going back to the manipulation of the mind, as I'm looking at my phone, I see 4-4. I gotta bring that up later on. They do this nasty manipulation, and the reason why 4-4, in which that number has become special in different ways. That number that they were trying to use to, like, yeah, pay 4-4, has become a number so bad for them. I can't even believe they try to use it. You know, for me, when they do this manipulation, the way I was supposed to rationalize this and internalize that ignore that this program is that torturous to children. Ignore that 4-year-old can be sexually tortured, you're gonna hear. Ignore that 3-year-old can be sexually tortured. Ignore that. Ignore that 5-year-old children can be tortured with Down syndrome. Ignore there's a bunch of young children being tortured to the point where you're gonna hear the agony and the scream. Ignore that. Matter of fact, they even do noise campaign of whipping noise. They do all the theatrics, all the things they can do. For me to somehow not pay attention of how torturous they can be to children, and it's failing drastically, because what it makes me is more fanatical. I'm like, I need to internalize the sufferings of the children that they're trying to cover up so they can paint themselves as stress seekers. It's turning me into a fanatic. And some of them are willing to go all the way. I'm like, I will oblige. I can. There's children of all ages, from the youngest to the oldest, being tortured in diabolical way, and they are still suffering. And some of them have been suffering for years, and some of them have died in this. And all of them, for sure, have their future impacted by this. So I can't wait to face these losers. For the soul of the suffering children, of those who've suffered and those who will suffer in this program. This is bigger. While these losers are supposed to deflect every day the tortures of children from the 4, 3, 5, whatever year, the babies being tortured in this program. While they want me to internalize the manipulation. When they do this manipulation, the way I should think of it is, these people who torture children from the youngest to the oldest are making me experience something that is based on their connections to the brain of me when I was a child. And every time they make me think, oh, remember what you did as a child, to do a whip noise campaign. Because when I was a kid, I did something to myself. When I was 14, I just turned 14, 13, 14, to myself. And of course, I know everybody knows that a child's brain is not comparable to an adult brain. a child can do something that they will never do because the impulsiveness of a brain of a child is not comparable to a grown man's brain. But you know who's trying to rationalize me in this way? Or rationalize, and they try to make me say rationalize me. Rationalize this stupidity? It's people who torture 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, make them scream like you're gonna see the child that you're gonna hear scream. Matter of fact, right now somebody opened the door and said, "Now you pay." And she opened, and they use this creme de la creme of stupidity, who think that I'm going to allow them to force me to rationalize this disgusting manipulation from people who are making children pay. How? By making them scream and torture on the soul of the suffering children and those who've suffered. I swear on their poor soul, these kids, that this losers, the creme of them, creme of the creme of disgustingness, will not escape for what they're part of, and will never internalize this retardation by people who torture people psychologically in these disgusting ways. That can torture people physically, psychologically, and torture even the youngest. You know some of this nasty manipulation? When they force me to get sexual arousals to the point where I have testicle pain, what you're going to hear is something they do. At some point, it's so intensified. Now, my libido, for some reason, has just kind of been minimized. I can deal with that. But there was a point where I couldn't do it. It was just too much. And guess what they do? They make me have disgusting pain in my testicle because they force me to get sexual arousals, especially when I see children. So I'm like, okay, there's something I need to do to release myself and be able to be less, this intensity of sexual arousal that force me be minimized. So I watch adult content, meaning I watch adult start being intimate. I'm sorry for being graphic, but this is the best way. I'm not sexually active that much, right? I'm not. I'm rarely sexually active, which is okay. So I watch adult content. And as I'm watching that, obviously I'm doing things to release myself. In the midst of my release and my climax, guess what they do to my thoughts? Yes, this disgusting trash that makes children scream the way you're going to hear a child scream, implant children in my brain as I'm climaxing, to the point where I sometimes bang my head to the wall to stop that thought to be implanted in my brain. And some of the nastiness is like they implant their own fucking disgusting, let me say this again calmly, they implant their own children into my brain and act like they're mad. I'm like, I swear to God, if you ever think that I will feel guilty for the disgustingness you implant in my brain on the soul of this poor kid suffering, you will not paint yourself as a protector of children. This coward low life who are so disgusting do that. And then they're like, no, but remember what you did as a child. Did you remember what you did when you're in middle school? And I'm supposed to rationalize that. But remember what you did to yourself when you were a kid. In this inappropriate way. It was an act of inappropriateness of a child. Does it now match? No. First of all, you torture children. You make them scream like that. It's proven you're going to hear the sufferings of these children. They harm babies and make them scream. Some of them are 4-year-old Down syndrome. 2, I know disgusting trash like that are known to move thoughts to the brain that are disgusting. Psychologically torturing target individual, harming children, and psychologically torturing target individual. Some of the torture is implanted disgustingness. For me, I'm supposed to think, no, but do you remember what you did as a kid? This never happened. I've never watched adult content and then also a child go in my brain, even when I was a child. I didn't do something inappropriate as a child, as a kid, impulsively. But I will never have a back and forth with people who can make children suffer like that and try to act like they protect children. I will never. And the stupidity that you try to rationalize this thing as just a reconnection of me when I was a child from tortures of children. The most disgusting part is they try to make me feel guilty. And once I went to the office, I'm gonna be a little bit graphic. We know that men and women do things to themselves in regard of self-pleasure. There's nothing wrong here. We're all adults. Can you imagine they try to even make me feel guilty about that? Like, yeah, but you did. It's like, well, I'm a grown man, I can do that. But the nasty part is you implant children in my brain as I'm watching adult men and women doing this and moving thoughts like that in my brain, and then try to make me accept this. But tell me, but remember when you did this to yourself when you were a child? And it's like, yeah, I remember. You then? Do you remember that you tortured children? Do you remember that you're pushing people into insanity? You know what language they use now? What mappings, like trash, mapping the sufferings of these children. They try to use words to try to camouflage that. You're gonna hear how much they're mapping the suffering of this child. What they're mapping is mapping how they can torture you psychologically and physically. The psychological torture consists of pedophilia type of torture. And for me, when they do the pedophilia type of torture, they're supposed to make me think, no, but when you were in middle school, remember what you did as a child. So today, when we do the pedophilia type of torture, it's not pedophilia type of torture, it's matching. And they use the most fucking opportunist clown to try to gaslight me, while the loserness doing every day what's possible to cover up the fact that torture children sexually in this program. And because that is not a good look for people who try to gaslight you, it's not a good look for people who act like they're just matching their brain to protect children. Hearing a child screaming like that needs to be negated. What they do day in and day out to try to negate that, but just act like that's not happening. I'm like, what? That's why I'll blast even more. You should see this next door clown trash around here. When I open the door, you hear a child screaming like that because they're tortured. And you see a little loser in a little hoodie dropping keys to try to cover up things. They do a little noise campaign. To try to think that's gonna work. I'm like, okay. And they've made me fanatical. Listen, isolation is definitely not the best for target control. It is good for brainwashing. But in the isolation, I pump myself with non-stop testimonials of the horrible things they do to women and children. So when I face one of these gaslighters, they better brace themselves to deal with somebody who've been ingesting the horrible things they've been doing to babies and children, and pushing target individuals like Stephen Marlowe, a man that killed 4 of these neighbors. A 15-year-old, her mother, a 7-year-old, and the husband of 82 years old. And right before he goes on this rampage and murdering and kill even a 15-year-old in her own kitchen, shot so many shots that the grandmother said that when she went to the kitchen, saw a bunch of bullet holes in the kitchen. He finished her up. He makes a pre-recorded video stating that target individual, understand your attacker, aka these people participating in this, doing this thing to you, are utilizing a technology that can consist of ventriloquism that can move thoughts to your brain. Before he goes ahead and execute even a 15-year-old kid, neighbor, not just finish her up. He does that when I'm here, and these disgusting neighbors are here doing this thing. Some of them, this teen trash. I've never seen things that are so aligned and so systematic, and these losers still think that there's a chance of hope that I don't know that these fuckers are implanting these thoughts in my brain while involved in a program that tortures children and wanting me to be mentally retarded to the point like, oh, but you do something to yourself. It matches to you when you did something to yourself when you were a kid. No, I'm a grown man watching grown men and grown women, adults. As I'm climaxing, certain thoughts are implanted in my brain, and then try to. As a matter of fact, they're bringing that up minus. They make me think of that minus me watching adult content, and like, yeah, I will match that, and make me think of this poor little kid. Listen, there's some of these kids I feel bad for. The young kids I feel bad for. Some of them annoy me, but they're babies. They're little kids. They have no idea. Yeah, they're really innocent. They're purely guided. But the teenage trash, I know they're still not adult, obviously, but they find purpose in this, and they are willing to go all the way. And this is not some impulsive act. They are living, eating this. They are literally groomed in that environment. This is a structured lifestyle of them gaslighting people. This is not like, I bring up what I did as a child, what a child can do impulsively. But these kids is not they are literally given an identity in this. They even try to find ways to disrupt me. For example, I'm making this video. They try to disrupt me by sounding different. It's like, we are. It just sounds so childlike, and you can hear them really technically try to find ways to sound a certain way that will just distract me, annoy me, agitate me, and they've done that for years now. So it's not even more. This is a lifestyle that they've been doing for years. So the hatred I have for them, it is extremely high, because they know, and very conscious, because they are having to negate and cover up the horrible atrociousness that what they're part of make kids suffer like that. You know how many times I listen to the sufferings that you're going to hear? You're going to hear children screaming in agony first. You should hear how this trash try to cover up this. It's like, oh, I feel bad. Oh, obviously they don't care, but they want this to make themselves sound like that just to agitate me. So when you deal with teen trash like that, and you hear a teen proudly thinking that she can cover up how the child scream like that and feel bad, and you know the child is suffering, is in agony, and they know that they're involved in something that makes children suffer like that, and they leave day in and day out to cover up this thing on weekends and every. This is no longer a child act or a child acting inappropriately. It's a child being groomed to normalize horrible atrociousness that can happen to children. So you handle that differently. Because this program is designed to reconstruct reality to the point where they can normalize torturing children the way you're going to hear, and to try to make you feel, and try to make you feel retarded. People can torture children like that, try to be like, no, we're mapping, we're mad. Never. They are blinding children, because right now I'm being told I'm going to be blinded, and they're damaging my body, and I will be blinded. But I heard the testimonies of children being blinded. And you know how they try to minimize us, like, but we're going to blind you permanently. Those children are blinded temporarily. You understand this disgustingness that surrounds me? Do you know what it means when you see somebody who can say this and think that I'm going to let them, one, turn me into a mentally retarded to think that I can normalize this manipulation? Or at least think that it's me? Listen to these losers who find escapism from the reality that just the bottom feeders, and find strength in a program where children are being tortured? No. For me, I prepare myself for the day I confront them, because the confrontation will not even be about them. There's people watching, and I want to make sure that when you watch me and you see this trash, you thought you could create whipping noise and it's going to cover up how these children are screaming like that and tortured? and try to make me think that no, we're making you pay so much for what you did as a child, when this trash are involved in the program, torturing children like that and negating children suffering like at this level. Who knows how many have died? Who knows how many will die in this program? Slowly die. These children having seizures. They're very mean to children. I still see that in a condescending way. They're very mean. And these perps who are known adults, and I don't want to call them children, they try to gamify that meanness so they can normalize it. And it's no geniusness to. You don't need to be a genius to figure out what it is. They just try to be like. They want to gamify it. They want to make it like it's just normal. And I get it. They think that when I see them, oh, the meanness didn't bring rage. I don't hate them. I truly hate them. I'm sorry, I gotta say, I hate this purpose at a level that's no return. It's not even hate, normal hate. It's like fanatical hate. It's hate that you have for a system that they're part of. And I can't wait to face them. And some of these trash use disgusting psyops and facade. Listen, I'm not racist. I love people of all races. But to see the disgustingness, listen, some of the stupidity I'm forced to experience. I was at the co-workers of mine currently, which are, let's say, co-workers, quote unquote. Let's just say the people who employed me after August 19, 2019 are people who can definitely benefit from a program where human beings are test subjects, where test subjects are critical to the success of their industry, that the industry cannot exist without test subjects. And you understand that out of everybody, what industry will benefit the most? So I end up working for that industry, understanding the reality of that, because I know that whoever was going to employ me will go participate, because there's benefits, obviously. But the benefit from this industry is extremely obvious. And they really maximize the benefits. And to hear this trash, and sometimes I feel like, do you think because my race or is that something that you think that I can be that retarded? No, I don't think it's true. Sometimes I'm like, is that maybe like a cultural thing that you think that I'm just, or maybe the way I present myself can make you delusional to that point? Sometimes I see people in my own race try to do that, and you can see I look at them like, you're a clown. Disgusting trash. For example, after because I've been so sexual stimulated by the manipulation they force me to have, they have me to have this sexual stimulation to the point where you're gonna hear they can make you have soreness of the testicles. That I end up watching adult content, which is trying to make me say something else, because I'm trying to minimize this level of intensity. As I'm watching that and trying to release myself, implanting children in my brain right before a climax, where I have to bang my head to the wall to try to stop, but it doesn't change anything. This black woman says, I'm not going to repeat what she said in a graphic way. She's like, oh, you pleased yourself. First of all, I'm a grown man. How many times you please yourself? The question is not about being pleased. The reason why she was saying that is like, oh, but when you were a kid, remember what you did to yourself. That was supposed to make me internalize that this thoughts of this child going in my brain was happening organically. That's how retarded they want me to be. But this program tortured children in so many ways. And to see this black woman try to look at her phones, like, I know that you move thoughts. Do you see that? I'm sorry for being grave. This is not racial. But Stephen Marlowe killed 4 neighbors, inclusive of a child, and said something about moving thoughts. And you think that I'm going to be an idiot like that? Is that because of my race? Do you think I'm a clown? Do you think I can connect this obvious, easy connect? It's so, the dots are so it's not beyond. They connect themselves. It's just so. You have to be. That's what they have, a lot of childlike individuals. It's really they want you to be mentally retarded. A man killed 4 people, inclusive of 15-year-olds. Like, hey guys, Ti, I'm doing that because I'm willing to die. But know that the attackers can move thoughts into your brain, and I can't tolerate this anymore. You're gonna hear what he says. These people want me to think that this thought coming in my brain is not happening, but I should connect it because of honking like that. I should think that, oh, it matches me when I was a child, which is not even true. You just bring a child doing something inappropriate to make me accept the manipulation of my mind today as a grown man. From people who torture children like that, who push people to cause mass shooting because thoughts are being implanted in their brain. And see a grown woman looking at her is like, you're fucking retarded, excuse my language. You're like torturing babies. How many times you please yourself? Now imagine somebody implant some shit in your brain. It's like, no, but remember when you were like middle school, 8th grader? And be like, accept this. Remember what you did when you were in 8th grade? As you climaxing. Implanting thoughts of children right before you, and be like, oh, it matches to you. Remember what you did when you were in middle school? When you just turned That's how delusional they are. But now let's go back. The validation of thought manipulation you're going to hear and what it has pushed people to do. You're going to even hear men say, saying target visual, you know what thoughts they're implanting. You know the thoughts. Do you think he doesn't, is what he's talking about? Everybody knows as target visual what he's talking about. It's beyond obvious what they do. It's so systematic, it's disgusting. It is beyond obvious. It's like this trash was talking about templates. It's like they have a template of how they torture people. It connects it. It's so obvious. It's scary. But then those who want you to think in this nonsensical way are literally torturing the youngest, and you're gonna hear the agony of a child. But the tortures are so nasty that they even make 3-year-old toddlers have sexual dreams. That's how diabolical things get. They're forcing children, young children, to have sexual dreams, and they use dreams in these degrading ways, and even help in the programming. When they rewire you, they use dreams in this disgusting. We're going to hear this man talking about this. They're using dream to condition your brain in this disgusting way, because they then try to paint themselves as protector of children. And guess who participates in this gaslighting? These groom retards. That's what when I face this purpose, it's gonna be clear. But the groomage of these losers participant that is disgusting. But the conditioning of your mind, to the point even dreams can be conditioned to program you in this way of experiencing things. They want you to think that, they want you to internalize so much what they force you to experience, that even dreams can be manipulated like that. And dreams meant to condition you. They're so nasty. I'm so glad that before this atrocious thing that's going to happen to me, I was able to see things for where they are. Look how obvious things are. And I know by saying this thing, because with me what's happening is the more I don't even expose it. The program has exposed what it is, okay? The more I put what is obvious in their face, the angry they get. I think they were trying to actually now gaslight themselves more than me. The anger they get, but bring up the obviousness that, okay, you think you can make children scream like that and be like, no, with you we're different. You know what they do? It's like, no, with the different program, we support the trash us. God, convenience. No. They try to confuse the target individual and disorient them. Involve themselves in a program where they obviously know they torture children. Participate in this program. And do the same thing as a lot of target individuals deal with. And with me, they were supposed to create a psyop. And going back to racial agitation, that's what just different. It's not even racial, by the way. It's gender, too. There's a lot of female gender individuals who like, oh, we're looking like this. We cannot do that. She knows. And I don't know if they talk about a doctor or what. It's funny because target individual have exposed the fact that, oh, female participant quite a lot. So I don't even know what is that she's supposed to make me think. It's like, okay, like I don't know there's female doctors involved in this. Like that has been called out. Like target individual say there's a lot of female participants. Like target individual have not seen, oh, this woman looks such like an absolute perp. Like it's so systematic. They do things. It's so obvious. But the most killer is the fact that they torture children. Like I don't even need to go beyond the fact they torture children. I'm gonna start with this video with the torture of children, because these are the fuckers involved in these atrocious things. Apparently, there's more reports of parents describing the torture of children. You're gonna hear of men. You're gonna hear men making a video about how to mitigate the tortures of this V2K harassment his children go through. His kids. That's how bad it is. Targeted Justice, an amazing channel for target individual. They have this like quick short videos about helping other target individual. This father, who's a target individual, is bringing advices on how to deal with your child dealing with the V2K that can be tormenting. And he said, hey, the way we try to work with our children to deal with these nasty things is like when you hear the monsters talking to you, don't pay attention. It's the monster. And let us know when they talk to you. That's how mean these trash are. You're going to hear this. Imagine you see a little loser involved in a program where she's groomed to negate that. And she's like, no, it's not mean. Like I'm supposed to think that this little retard is or anything. Then you see that. And you're like, yeah, I know you're mean. That is your mean. This child suffering is your mean. You're just a nothing. They do this to hear that a father describing how to help other. And we all know this is a governmental program. And they contract this little loserness. They're supposed to disrupt me. To enable me to think clearly the obviousness. You think I think it's some next door retarded neighbor meanness? Of course I know what this is. It's the meaning of a governmental program that contracts little losers like that participate in a program where children are suffering. And when parents have to talk to their children, it's like, hey, when you hear the monster talking to you, when the monsters talk to you, don't pay attention to them, okay? Those are the trash. Try to pretend like they're protecting kids. The little loserness. Where they have these ways of trying to negate that. For example, I heard this little retard say, I was like, okay. You're going to hear how Apu is working when you hear that child scream. So start off with the children's torture. You're going to hear the horrible things. You're going to hear a child screaming in agony. And hear a mother asking for help. Screaming is like somebody do something. You know the level of helplessness they probably feel seeing a child screaming like that? Imagine me listening to that out loud and hear a little loser of two by design used to try to counter and disrupt me from seeing the cruelty of this program and sending a little loser because she's a childlike individual. I don't want to call her a human being, non-adult trash. Think her childishness can cover this atrociousness, and she knows that as a child already. Knows that, oh, I'm gonna be a little child. No. Because the evilness that they're part of does these things to children, and a poor mother have to see this, witness that, and be can't do nothing. Nah, it's gonna be easy. Then, when you hear the children, the torture of that, listen to the manipulation, but then you're gonna listen to what this does, what it does to some target individual, and what the trend have shown. Target individuals are losing their mind, and some have killed in masses. And clearly you understand that this is a program that is utilizing very extreme sophisticated advanced technology that is being weaponized clearly onto us. We're just the guinea pigs, and they do all these things to us, and it's meant to drive us crazy, psychologically torturing us, and do everything possible using this technology to drive you into insanity. And truly, target individuals, we're kind of helpless. This is a governmental program with the level of advancement that's almost science fictional. So for me, before I die, I'll make sure I curse these losers, and they will never leave the little fantasy. They were just some bottom feeders in a program where they make children scream like that, and they're using this little disgusting trash to cover up the atrociousness of a child screaming like that, a mother screaming to ask for help. And when if they give me the chance to vocalize my hatred, I will oblige you with the quickness. And sometimes I crave that. I crave the crash. I crave a confrontation, especially with these losers. In my mind, they create mental battles with the things that make me imagine. It's funny because the level of like validation that they torture children is high, but the mind control and the manipulation, the thought process being manipulated is so bad now. They even try to bring up the things that before I know how manipulative they are. They make me think. Remember when at one point, before I knew I was a target individual, how torturous they are. Before I knew what target individual were, they make me think of, but what you did it once as a child. But could you have done it more time if you have more opportunity? And the stupidity. So sorry for me. Looking back, I feel so stupid because like no, and they're like, okay, imagine it, and I'm trying like recreate this in my mind, like okay, and now like it will not happen, and boom, they'll make me imagine do something else that's stupid, as inappropriate as a child, and like, oh no, it will not go that way, as if like I don't know this, as if now today I don't know that they can make you imagine whatever they want. Can you imagine creating mental battles like that? It's like, you see, opportunity is trash. You just make me imagine things that didn't happen, and you try to vilify what a child did while you are here making children scream so much in pain, where poor mothers can't even deal with what's happening to their children. Manipulate the crap out of my brain the same way you've manipulated some of the target individuals who caused the mass shooting, and think that I don't know that this is the design that's created to push people into insanity and rage. As this man said, whatever information they can implant to your brain to push you into the insanity, they will do that. For me, I know I'm doomed because this is a governmental program, but I know I'm doomed because the loserness that's participating in that is such a high level. And I'm like, I must be already dead. If who is participating in that, the level of loserness I'm witnessing, things are over from a long time ago. The level of loserness that partake in this, I know it's over. That this is so over that they can have these little losers partake. And it's so funny how they're like, yeah, no, it's all over. We're killing. And they told me that so long ago, and I didn't even know how over it was. That they even try to forget, to just try to make me now. They try to negate when I wrote a suicide letter in 2019 when I couldn't deal with it. Thank God I was strong enough to not do it, because I saw the testimonials of so many target individuals, and I realized what this was. And I was like, if this woman dealing with all this torture can deal with it, let me be strong as long as I can. this little loser today because there's so much of the bottom feeders. They try to cover that up. Target individuals stay strong. Listen to the horrible things they do to children, and listen to what they've pushed target individual to do because of the mental tortures. And before I end this, target individual, don't be intimidated by fear tactics. They tell me they're gonna kill people for less. And this is coming from people who torture children. I was like, yes. People who torture children, who can actually slowly kill a child, are capable of killing anybody. And I think that was supposed to make me internalize these things. Listen, I'm not fearful of death. I'm just so thankful before I ended up dying, and I'm so thankful I didn't kill myself before finding out what this is about. To hear a grown man who think that I'm gonna let them live that fantasy where you are here torturing children like that, and I'm gonna let that happen, and you think because people can kill for less, meaning that I'm gonna internalize the manipulation? Do they kill for less when it comes to people who torture children the way you're gonna hear this child scream? What would they do to people who participate in that? What would they do to somebody involved in something where children scream in agony like that? What would they do to somebody who is involved where a 4-year-old Down syndrome is sexually tortured? I know who's talking to me. They're torturous, they're mean, they're evil to children. And in regard of the manipulation I'm forced to experience, this trash say it's pedophilia. I was like, and what's not pedophilia is make children dream sexually like that. Talking about me as a child, while this trash can make children have sexual dreams. 3-year-old. What's left here that can try to counter? It's so revealed. These clowns utilize pedophilia type of torture to torture people. They even tell me they're going to frame me by playing child porn. You're going to hear us behind this program. This is a governmental program using very advanced technology. It's not some next door clowns in their little hoodie and pajamas tell me they're mapping. It's a program where they're mapping the sufferance of even children. Ran by governmental entities like the DOD, like the CIA, where pedophilia has been a non-stop issue, where the top-tier pedophiles are in these agencies, and the same agencies running this program contract these losers who think they're going to be fierce in playing child porn in the program where they torture children. This bottom feeders working for pedophiles. Everything has been unveiled for the trash that they are. Pedophile in a certified way that's unbelievable, trying to gaslight you to internalize the pedophilia type of torture, for push people to kill while torturing children sexually and non-sexually. All this non-real that I'm not listening to right now.
Over somebody, even though they're not putting their hand, they're putting the weapon on you, and there's nothing you can do. And that's an awful feeling.
It's usually combined with a very cruel microwave auditory effect, voices in their heads telling her, we're not raping you, we're just stimulating you. And that has got to be the most disgusting, wicked, evil, satanic thing I have ever heard.
Worryingly, a growing number of people are contacting TI support organizations to report that their children seem to be displaying signs of these weapons. Often, the parents are victims themselves, making the torture a generational thing.
A significant number of members, many single mothers and small children, minor children as young as 3 years old, are being targeted and harassed, particularly with voice-to-skull V2K. The sickness that someone would torture a small child is beyond belief. We have confirmed that these kids are in fact receiving directed energy weapons and voice-to-skull. It's a very disturbing development for us. With children, they'll use their mother's voice. The parent has to tell the child, watch my lips. If you didn't see me say it to you, that wasn't me.
The youngest we have record of is as young as 3 years old. What they do is that they beam voices at these children's, and they say things to them. For example, one of them would say, "They're gonna eat my stomach. They're telling me that they're gonna eat my stomach." Another mother tells me that her 5-year-old tells her she never has a quiet moment in her head. Like, imagine a child 24/7 having these voices going on. Not to mention the damage to their developing brains, because this is perpetrated with microwave beams that are being directed at young minds.
So, what evidence is
that our victims, criminals are scared for their lives.
Wanna shoot the children.
You can tell him how you know about children that are victims of directed energy weapons fired. Criminals are scared for their lives.
Wanna shoot the children.
You can tell him how you know about children that are victims of directed energy weapons fired by the CIA. Criminals are scared for their lives.
Wanna shoot the children.
You can tell him how you know about children that are victims of directed energy weapons. Criminals are scared for their lives.
Wanna shoot the children.
You can tell him how you know about children that are victims of directed energy weapons. Today, I forgot to bring my flyers with me. I did bring my cards, but I forgot to bring the flyers because I didn't know I was going to be able to see them. And I just blurted out and I said, little girls are being microwaved by the CIA. And he was surrounded by women.
Eyes, and we have children as young as 3 years old that are hearing voices. They have implanted dreams, very violent and some in sexual nature. It to children, they're implanting children with atrocious dreams, many of them of a sexual nature. And it's just a throw these
of abuse of the human resources. My name is Catherine Nestor and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MK Ultra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
And have had
Yeah. So, we've spoken a few times. I'm going through the same thing. Our situations are a little different. So, I have the full-blown artificial telepathy. You're definitely receiving broadcasts because I've seen it in your photos. And, isn't it strange that sometimes you could feel some type of way that's not your feelings?
Yeah, they do that a lot. Can project anger, fear, and weird feelings. They can do pretty much anything that has access to the brain or to the mind.
Right.
Not just me, but I have children, and so my children are able to say certain things, like they can feel certain things.
Right.
Zaps on their body.
Yes, here's a filing-grounded, reportive case file summary of Devon Delaney Fraley and HF, with specific places you can verify each point in the accessible appellate petition materials, which reproduce key parts of the operative complaint. I'm going to rely most heavily on the Supreme Court appendix because it includes the relevant complaint excerpts verbatim, including the Fraley HF paragraphs, and is publicly accessible. 1. Where Fraley and HF appear across the litigation record. A District Court complaint excerpts in the Supreme Court appendix. The Supreme Court appendix contains the complaint section titled Devon Delaney Fraley and the follow-on paragraphs about HF starting immediately after that heading. B. Fifth Circuit Appeal, March 8, 2024. The Fifth Circuit opinion caption lists Devon Delaney Fraley and HF among the plaintiff's appellants. Notably, it labels JD and LM as a minor, but does not print a minor after HF in that caption line. C. Supreme Court Petition, July 23, 2024. The petition's petitioner list includes Devon Delaney Fraley and then separately lists HF a minor. It also includes a note explaining that after an amended complaint was filed, the minor daughter of petitioner Fraley was added as a claimant. Number 2, Fraley's allegations, what she claims happened to her. In the complaint excerpt, as reproduced in the appendix, Fraley alleges in substance she was nominated included in a TSDB subcategory, NS McCarthy blacklist, without notice and without an opportunity to rebut. She alleges she has suffered physical, electronic surveillance and organised stalking as part of being targeted. She alleges that around 2016, her targeting increased and she began experiencing artificial tinnitus and V2K continuously. She alleges directed energy weapon DW attacks causing burns, including to her feet and genital area. She alleges the DW attacks caused symptoms she characterises as indicative of Havana syndrome, described as permanent brain and physical injuries. She alleges social, professional, personal repercussions, including suffering, anxiety and loss, and requests remedies including removal from the TSDB and damages. That is the core Fraley-specific symptom set and theory as pled in the excerpted complaint text. 3. HF's allegations, what Fraley claims happened to the child. In the same reproduced complaint excerpt, the filing describes HF as Fraley's daughter and a toddler, specifically referred to as 3-year-old. The text uses 3-year-old daughters, but the context is HF as the single minor plaintiff child. The allegations about the child's symptoms are described as, after the filing of the complaint, HF allegedly began showing signs of DVTK, and because she is incapable of verbalizing, Fraley says she inferred symptoms through behavioral changes, including irritability, slamming her head against the floor, extremely high body temperature upon waking, among others. The allegations about ongoing harm include alleged irritability, anguish, sweating, pain, and suffering every day, with asserted unknown damages to the child's developing brain.
that are victims.
Criminals are scared for their
You just start to lose your grasp on what's going on. Ultimately, if you can think of the darkest things that you could say to somebody, something that you would never say to somebody, those are the sorts of things that it uses to destroy you.
At first, they were saying a lot of homosexual things to me. Once that really didn't fly, as far as, getting me mad or whatever, they switched over to talking a lot about pedophilia, and that was happening a lot.
Automated torture, 24/7, 365. You have to understand that it's just a computer. Whatever you don't like, it will continue doing.
It was mocking, deriding, and then they can suggest thoughts and actions and emotions. About 6 months of straight-on torture, driving me to the absolute brinks of sanity.
V2K exploits fears, traumas, insecurities. It deceives, it manipulates.
80% of the time now, it is negative, extremely negative, horrific. But then they can elicit strong emotional reactions on people, and they could do it with whatever emotion.
These could be regularly appearing subtle thoughts telling you to kill yourself. Victims also report thoughts and dreams being sent into their head daily. The thoughts are often indistinguishable from your own, but are obvious because they seem out of place compared to your usual thoughts. These could be regularly appearing subtle thoughts telling you to kill yourself or to hurt people.
They can elicit strong emotional reactions on people, and they could do it with whatever emotion. We can turn you on right now. We can make you angry. We can make you sad. And they would do it. It was like they pressed a button, and it just went, and it just would just go away. And I just felt like totally normal.
The dreams are noticeably different from ordinary dreams in that they are often vulgar or include some kind of trauma, and they are usually more memorable and less abstract.
I was aware for a while that my dreams were being influenced. It's very, very clear that they're using dreams to reinforce the programming, to program the unconscious mind. I'm getting the same thing, some kind of...
And
the target.
It is what
you control me. I have my own free will.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
They use these monarch-style torture programs, like it's based on sex and trauma. So they're gonna traumatize you. They're gonna use your libido to get back at you, and
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
What is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation, so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams. And
inserting thoughts. Sometimes you hear voices, some people hear voices, putting emotions into your head and using all this information to drive you crazy, to torture you.
They're saying these things like, oh,
daily. The thoughts are often indistinguishable from your own, but are obvious because they seem out of place compared to your usual thoughts. These could be regularly appearing subtle thoughts telling you to kill yourself or to hurt people.
They can elicit strong emotional reactions on people, and they could do it with whatever emotion. We can turn you on right now. We can make you angry. We can make you sad, and they would do it. It was like they pressed a button, and it just went, and it just would just go away. And I just felt like totally normal.
The dreams are noticeably different from ordinary dreams in that they are often vulgar or include some kind of trauma, and they are usually more memorable and less abstract.
I was aware for a while that my dreams were being influenced. It's very, very clear that they're using dreams to reinforce the programming, to program the unconscious mind. I'm getting the same thing, some kind of like trauma dream where there's like something goes really.
The images appear in the mind's eye, both when the eyes are open and closed. The voices are heard inside the head, not through the ears. The thoughts present as your own thoughts, but often include things that seem odd, like words that aren't in your usual vocabulary. Victims report that these attacks seem to be trying to psychologically break them. The voices react to both the thoughts and the speech of the victim. In addition, sophisticated psychological operation designed to destroy their life.
The sorts of things that it uses to destroy you.
At first, they were saying a lot of homosexual things to me. Once that really didn't fly, as far as, getting me mad or whatever, they switched over to talking a lot about pedophilia, and that was happening a lot.
Automated torture, 24/7.
Insertion, memory manipulation, memory insertion. You feel like your mind and your body is not yours, it's just being controlled by some asshole. Your emotions, everything, and you would see that, street theater, noise campaigns, Voice to Skull, they do a pretty good job of intertwining everything, but to an outsider's point of view, whatever accomplishments you have in those. I have no idea why they do what they do. It's just whatever. These thoughts and these thoughts, these fucking disgusting ass thoughts. And if you're a target individual, you know what I'm talking about these thoughts that are being fucking inserted into your head. It's disgusting. And it's horrible.
We're learning new details about another mentally disturbed person who allegedly turned killer. An Ohio man has been arrested for gunning down 4 people after ranting about mind control. Stephen Marlowe was apprehended in Kansas over the weekend following a 2-day manhunt. The shootings happened on Friday near Dayton, Ohio. The deceased were found in 2 separate homes near the house where the 39-year-old Marlowe lived with his parents. The victims were an elderly couple, and in the other home, a mother and her 15-year-old daughter. Marlowe will now be extradited to Ohio to face charges. Prior to that, Marlowe posted a video on social media about launching a counterattack against mind control. Take a look.
When the world realizes what has happened, there will be justice, but I cannot sit by and be a victim any longer, and I refuse to sit by and do nothing while my nieces and nephews and the rest of my family are operated on with mind control. Our thoughts are not private. It is disgusting and it is cruel. I will be launching the first counterattack against mind control in human history. I want to be very clear, this will not be an active shooting event. I will be executing some of the people responsible for activating shooters. If I happen to survive, please visit me in prison, if only to see the same man you have always known, rather than the victim of some mental disorder that does not exist. What you may not understand is that I will gladly die to expose this, and I will gladly die to help one other victim discover the truth of what has happened. If I can help another targeted individual fight back against telepathy, then the sacrifice will be well worth it. To any TIs who read this, understand that your attackers use the form of ventriloquism I describe in the paper to move your thoughts, but your thoughts can also move their mouths. To my friends in Chicago, Lexington, Dayton, and all over the world, get this email out to everyone you know. The most horrific weapon ever made is being used on human beings, and if you ever learn the truth, you will understand what I did here to protect myself and my family. Get this out to other TIs, other voice hearers, so the world has a chance to fight back. To my family, especially my nieces and nephews, I want you to understand that what I do here, I do for your future, and hope that you can live a life free of mind control. I love you guys.
Still with us, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, and a special guest joining us now to talk about the mental health issues in this.
A Kentucky man is accused of murdering his neighbor.
The crime happened a week ago in a Somerset neighborhood, and today police testified about the bizarre circumstances surrounding the crime, as we're learning more about the case from the 911 calls made after the shooting. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more on what took place in the case today in Pulaski County. Our top story at 5.
After Adam Roark was shot outside his home on Dogwood Lane, there were 2 911 calls that were made. One came from Roark's wife, who had witnessed the shooting, and the other came from the suspect himself.
911. Yeah, I just wanted to call and say, hey, I just shot Adam Roark. You know, I've been tortured for 5 years now.
James Gleason called to say that he had shot his neighbor, and a detective testified that Gleason told him that torture was his neighbors using direct energy weapons on him.
Though asked, he did not give details as far as what a direct energy weapon was.
The shooting happened just after midnight last Wednesday.
Voidberry murder weapon. On it he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and "My ELF Weapon." Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people: mothers, fathers, sons, daughters. Diane.
Wanna shoot children. You can tell him how you know about children that are victims of directed energy weapons fired.
Criminals are scared for their lives.
Wanna shoot children. You can.
In 1965,
DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
Follow them on highways, grocery stores, their workplace, and every.
You know, satanic
valuations must be stopped. Many people's lives at risk. They affect men, women, and children. Many have died already.
The Pentagon, the child porn on the Pentagon servers.
Come on,
bro. Supposedly they found more child porn on the Pentagon servers than they found on any servers. You know,
could there be
at high levels across a range of government agencies? Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also work.
Two-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you know, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
the CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children? And they're not being prosecuted? Where are you?
Has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the personal electronic device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on." Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use the technology within that office space however you want. And you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially, this bill is trying to
is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th.
Claims and count.
Source LLC, and we're here explaining how to mitigate the V2K that is being implemented on our kids. For example, my daughter ended up killing her little fish because mommy told her to put soap and candy into the fish tank and hot water, and ended up killing the fish. And she was only 3 at this time. So when you ask your kid why do they do it, and they say, well, because mommy or daddy told me to, this is where you have to tell them, okay, this is not right. If you hear mommy or daddy's voice, please look at our lips and see if you see them moving. And if you don't see them moving, you need to let us know that you can use monsters or bad guys, whatever you want to use. For my daughter, we use monsters. So she's 6 now, and they don't really hit her with V2K anymore like they used to. But she does let us know from time to time, hey, the monsters are trying to talk to me. Thank you for listening. The most important thing is to be very vigilant at all times. with your child.
Component to this program. Haptic feedback. Vibrations and pain delivered to their most intimate areas in a way that seems to want to humiliate them. Some TIs report seductive or taunting voices in their head at the same time as sexual assaults are taking place. A Washington Post article about the issue states, others report the attacks in the form of sexual stimulation, including one TI who claims he dropped out of the seminary after constant sexual stimulation by directed energy weapons.
There seems to be a predatory element.
There are some other things that have happened to me in terms of being a woman that I won't mention here, but there are attacks and assaults in a very intimate way and place.
Sexual aspect, electronic rape, it's just somebody is touching you. Somebody is touching you and doing sexual acts, but there's nobody there. If I look at somebody like a man or something, then they'll start touching me.
Just over the last year, it's gotten really much darker with sexual assaults, and then not being able to find the perpetrator or the people assaulting me. It hurts, and I'm a human being.
Yeah, you're talking about like the electromagnetic, the rape and that. Yeah, that's, oh my God, that was kind of on the onset that I became aware of that. It was like I could feel it in my backside and my front side. And in the very beginning, it was, they wanted me to know. It was like I could feel this vibrating, just... powerlessness, sheer powerlessness over somebody, even though they're not putting their hand, they're putting the weapon on you, and there's nothing you can do. And that's an awful feeling.
It's usually combined with a very cruel microwave auditory effect, voices in their heads telling her, we're not raping you, we're just stimulating you. And that has got to be the most disgusting, wicked, evil, satanic thing I have ever heard.
So other people profit from your suffering. In my book, that is human trafficking. And guess, aside from the people that actually come in and rape you in your room while you're incapacitated. So
went to bed. I had, and they had relatively high floor, and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the night before I was attacked really bad, I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. And my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So so the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test, but she refused me a rape kit. And
a widow in her 70s sent me an email the other day to say she had been sexually violated for 2 straight hours and that other things had happened that she just couldn't bring herself to type. I don't think there's a precedent for this.
Today I'm actually dealing with something that's like, it's different than the burning the private parts of my body. It feels like somebody is trying to literally like cut the inside of my body, of my vagina, and I'm bleeding, and it's like bright red blood, and it's extremely painful.
Today, this morning, it's like not even noon yet here, and all of that today, this morning, it's like not even noon yet here, and already I'm experiencing the pain and the harm to my body, to the private parts of my body. It's just hard to feel hopeful, like just wake up and get out of bed and not know like what a day will bring, and just trying to maintain some level of hope, and just in the midst of such heinous abuse. Just
I just woke up after a pretty rough night. The same thing happened last night. It was whenever I was trying to go to sleep, the private parts of my body began being burned again, and it felt like someone pushing out something inside of my body. So yeah, that's what I am up against today is but the abuse last night was pretty extreme. And weird. Mouth feels just like my teeth are like pressed forward, and I don't know. It's a lot of strange things. I've been doing some research, I guess what it's called, organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. I don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine, because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. So it causes me to go into shock, and it's excruciatingly painful. And I have my limitations on the duration and length of pain that I can handle. So it was a couple of weeks ago, I asked him what he was doing there, and he said that I needed to stay in my room. And I asked why, and he said that essentially they wanted to keep an eye on me for a while. And I was like, okay, for how long? And he was like, well, we haven't decided that yet. And I was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. But it definitely felt like if I talk about what's happening to me, that I'm being retaliated against. And I know the logical mind is like, well, everyone can't be involved. But it seems that, I don't know, if the government has the right to watch and the proper paperwork, just walk right in and take over a hospital. And it seems that that is a very real reality in a lot of capacities of the things that I've faced. So today, just kind of just feeling some pretty general fear about my own safety, because the government's burning the private parts of my body. Sometimes it feels like a laser.
Eyes, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape and forced orgasm.
You can say anything you want. This is the internet.
Okay. And so simulated orgasms and rape is extremely common, and especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most.
You feel that you've been in justice?
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations. Not 1, but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock up my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of these.
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. It is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I'm very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you.
Alex,
Leslie Crawford. I'm here from the state of Michigan. I wanted to speak about biotechnology applications being utilized on my person.
A widow.
Break.
You know, please go kill yourself, or you deserve every bit of this.
It's very apparent that the voice.
You know, please go kill.
Woman. To them because they are absolutely insane to think this and do what they are doing to innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children.
It's a slow, painful death. The ultimate goal is to destroy the person.
This is wickedness and this is evil, and it has to stop. This has to stop.
How can you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? I don't understand how you can do it. I really don't. But I'm going to still hold on to my humanness till I take my last breath.
If I had a chance to confront them, and I don't know that I would say anything because I feel like that's what they want. They want a reaction from me, and I just don't even want to give them one. There was a time where I wanted to yell and scream at them and cuss them out, but I wouldn't even give them the time of day, honestly.
I would say you're going to be stopped. They know about you. I know we have these capabilities, but to use them against our citizens is treason, and it won't be tolerated.
I hope.
Because they are absolutely insane. But you
search, you can rise above it. I believe prayers helped a lot.
It's like I'm being attacked right now as we speak, you know, and but you tend to get used to it in a dysfunctional way. Just trying to help fight this thing, you know.
It's anything we can honestly say to them because they are absolutely insane.
Like really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, you're gonna get shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Gonna get shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro,